Hello, it's Peter and Kathleen from the Yakking Show with a weekly wrap-up for the week ending 4th of August. We've had a nice sunny week, and for a change in our summer in Ontario, a dry week. I think we had a shower of rain on Monday, but it's touch wood, it's been dry since then. So how are you doing, Kathleen?
I'm doing great, Peter. Thanks. And so we had some interesting guests this past week, didn't we?
We did indeed. We had a real firecracker, Julie Jones, breakthrough coach, international inspirational speaker, and her big thing she helps people was facing their fear. And what really impressed me, she told us the story. She climbed the Sydney Harbour Bridge in Australia, which is several hundred feet above
Can
the
you
water,
imagine?
and wow, I've done scary things in my life, but nothing ever like that. So I think she's well qualified to help people face the fear. So she was on Tuesday, episode 259. And then on Thursday, in episode 260, we had another really interesting guest, Paul Teasdale
Yes.
from England, near London. And he had an interesting story. He spent several years working with the McLaren Formula One team, and he's now a facilitator, a public speaker. He has his own podcast, as does Julie. I nearly forgot that. And Paul uses lessons from the high pressure atmosphere and environment of a Formula One pit crew to help businesses get their act together with communication and teamwork and that. And he's a great facilitator for that sort of thing. One of the most interesting ones, and if you listen to the podcast, you'll hear it, they actually got ballerinas in the pits to help them choreograph their movements. And I have this image of ballerinas in tutus dancing around with mechanics in overalls in the pit lane, but let's not go too far down that
That's
track.
right.
So that was our week. And then anything else you want to add about Paul, Kathleen?
Oh, well, you know what? It's really interesting how he gives the analogy of the ballerinas and the pit crew and how everything is so very well timed. It has to be in order for these
Mm.
guys to win. But he gives that as an analogy for business, because if everybody knows their role and every team member is just, everything can run so smoothly, like a well-tuned machine, right? So
Yep, absolutely.
that's how he brings that analogy into business. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was really good.
Mhm.
And then coming up next week, we have two more guests, and we're just so lucky to get so many different interesting guests.
There we are.
On next week on Tuesday will be Yaron Bean from Israel. He's a growth consultant. He specializes in helping people build e-commerce stores, and he's got all sorts of ideas and tips to help you get customers and business for your e-commerce store. And then on Thursday, it's a gentleman called Oscar Joffrey, who's one of the leading lights in the world on blockchain technology. And he's the CEO of CoreChain. And he's one of the top 10 global thought leaders in equity crowdfunding. He's got a lot to say about making investing in private companies more secure for the investor and more transparent. So that's another interesting one.
Well,
Yeah, so that's what's coming up next week. Next week again, we'll have a bonus episode on Wednesday. We will have the third episode of our interviews with the collaborative authors of the most amazing marketing book ever coming up. So that's for next week. But we got some exciting news on products that we are promoting. So over to Kathleen to talk about those.
Peter, we have one of our affiliates is Dr. Morse and his clinic. He has a team of people working for him, and I have no problem endorsing his products because I use them, and I can actually show you some of the products that I use. In fact, this is the Ultimate Sabbath. I don't know if you can see it, but it's so full of goodness. In fact,
Wow.
there's no scent to it. I'm smelling it, but there really is no scent. So if anybody is scent sensitive out there, there's no problem using that. But he has a whole list of organic ingredients in this amazing little product. You can go onto his website to take a look at that. And Peter, we have an affiliate code that our viewers can use to get
Yes,
a 5% discount on his
that's
products. So
right.
this is one of the products that is fabulous to use. Now, if you know anything about Dr. Morse, he's always talking about the importance of kidney filtration as well as lymphatic drainage. And he has this amazing tea called kidney tea. Again, can you see that? I don't know if you can. It's a loose tea. And I drink this every morning. It's I steep it in a cup of hot water. It's very mild tasting. It's actually quite pleasant to drink. And he also has a bunch of teas, but this one is called Heal All Tea. And again, I probably will put this in my kidney tea and have it at the same time. Believe it or not, Peter, I have actually we give this to our cats.
Really?
Yes, we do. We put a little bit of the steep tea into their drinking water or in their wet food. And they needed some treatment, and we wanted to do it as naturally as possible, and it has turned them around. That is my experience with this tea. So anyways, that's just a little bit about Dr. Morse. If you're interested, Peter, I think you will have all the details below in this video.
Yes, all the details in the description below. So Kathleen, looking at my face, and for people who didn't listen to last week's, no, I was not in a knife fight or in a duel, but I had a minor skin cancer thing removed. Would that help me heal up my face, do you think?
Well, Peter, we can't make any claims here on the show.
Oh, I know. I'm just asking. I know we can't, but it's worth a try, huh?
Why not? Really?
Mind you, probably take a miracle to make my face look any better anyway. So,
Peter, that's
we don't want to waste time. Anyway, Kathleen, thanks for that. And thank you to our audience. We'll be back next week. Final words, Kathleen?
Thank you so much for tuning into our show. We so appreciate you, and we'll see you again. Take care.
Bye.